BCM clinicians this year.
Hey everyone, I'm Parmi Rendau. I'm also a BCM clinician, and we have a self-care for staff video for you today. So what is self-care? Self-care is an important component of a teacher's mental health, but there are misconceptions about what it is. It's common for educators to dismiss self-care as selfish or superficial, but for teachers, self-care is so much more than breakfast and bread or treating yourself to a spa day. It's about you taking care of your health so that you're prepared to be the best teacher you can be for yourself and for your students. So by definition, self-care is any action that you use to improve your health and well-being, and according to the National Institute of Mental Illness, there are 6 components to self-care, being physical, psychological, emotional, spiritual, social, and professional. So ideally, a healthy self-care strategy should include an activity that addresses each of your factors every day. That way you can make sure that every element of your overall health and well-being is being taken care of. So self-care activities can be small to large-scale habits, with examples ranging from packing a healthy lunch for you to take to work for the day, or waking up early to do a mindfulness activity before you get your day started. Some teachers may make the mistake of confusing self-care with self-indulgence. But unlike self-care, self-indulgent activities don't have lasting benefits. So things like binge watching TV or eating junk food, while they might feel good at the moment, and you're allowed to do those every now and then, they're not allowing you to build good self-care habits for lifelong longevity. So why is self-care important for teachers? So the importance and benefits of self-care extend to every profession, but within some careers, it is more stigmatized than it is in others. People in caregiving positions, like teaching, often find it easier to tell others to take care of themselves than they do so themselves. Because educators are encouraged to focus so much energy on others and so little on themselves, self-care is so necessary for teachers to maintain good mental health. In particular, self-care can be a great way to prevent teacher stress. Over 40% of teachers report feeling high stress every day during the school year, which ties teaching with nursing as having the highest stress rate of any career. Causes of stress can include lack of resources, class behavioral problems, pressure related to standardized test expectations, and even with COVID-19, distance learning could add to that stress, just to name a few. But they all lead to the same outcomes, which is weakened physical and emotional health. When left unchecked, teacher stress can lead to burnout and contribute to the high turnover rate in education. But self-care can turn this around and help keep teachers from getting burnt out. This means that self-care isn't just good for personal habit, but it's good for your students' and colleagues' best interests as well. By eating well, sleeping enough, exercising, and finding other ways to take care of yourself, self-care can help you reach your potential in the classroom, which in turn would help your students to succeed.
All right, so burnout. Burnout syndrome has been clinically categorized by a series of 3 subtypes. That's frantic, under-challenged, and worn out. So a prolonged response to a chronic emotional and interpersonal stress on the job. In other words, burnout is a state that persists over time, leading to teachers to develop one of 3 coping mechanisms. So that would be exhaustion, a state in which a teacher feels that they cannot offer any more of themselves. You have cynicism, a distant attitude towards work, colleagues, students, and other aspects of the job, and inefficacy, a feeling of becoming incompetent or ineffective in your job. Burnout is a state that is damaging to students, to teachers, and to the administration, to the parents, and the union as a whole. Teacher burnout leads to reduced educational quality because it increases the numbers of underqualified or straight up unqualified teachers in the system. This is a devastating outcome of burnout, leading to a reduced student achievement and a particularly severe impact for students of color. Continuing the Learning Policy Institute statistic, turnover rates are 70% higher for teachers in schools serving the largest concentrations of students of color. These schools are staffed by teachers who have fewer years experience and are often significantly less training to teach. According to Monteiro, Marin, and Garcia Campayo, the 3 subtypes include frantic. So this category includes teachers who put a lot of time and energy into their work, are extremely dedicated to achievement, and attach personal ambition to their efforts. Consequently, their personal lives often suffer as they feel they cannot get self-care that they need to balance their workload. The second subtype is under-challenged. The under-challenged type lacks motivation and interest, does not apply themselves to their work beyond a superficial effort, and their experience of boring routine and lack of acknowledgement drives them to seek alternate employment. And the final subtype of burnout is worn out. When the teacher no longer has anything to give to their profession, they often become completely worn out, disregarding their responsibilities. They feel a lack of recognition, a lack of power that eventually leads to significant neglect of their duty. What are some symptoms of burnout? So some common symptoms of burnout that you guys as teachers can be on the lookout for is a feeling of unfulfillment in your work, depleted by overwhelming mountains of grading, constant meetings, and an ongoing sacrifice of personal time. The feeling of being overwhelmed, or the sense that a teacher can never get it all done no matter what they do. Frustration from not having the ability to change the system, especially in today's COVID-19 environment. Exhaustion, both emotionally and physically, as teachers cannot get enough sleep, whether that be by staying up all night grading, and can't seem to affect change in the system, such as standardized tests, student outcomes, like Parmeen was talking about, and being forced to witness the same problems play out year after year. Stress is another symptom stemming from lack of self-care, ongoing repetition in your classroom issues, overwhelm, lack of support, and expectations teachers feel that they cannot meet. And finally, a symptom of burnout is weight loss or weight gain, lack of sleep, and other physical conditions associated with stress and being overworked.
Hello all, so Parmeen has talked to you all about what self-care is, and Sam has talked to you guys about burnout. So I'm here to provide some tips about self-care. So one of the first ones that I want to put out there and share with you guys is boundaries. It is so important to have boundaries during distance learning, because sometimes your home could feel like your work and your work could feel like just more work, and it all just intertwines with one another. So it's important for you to set boundaries. For example, you could find yourself replying to emails at 9-10 o'clock at night during your dinner with your family, or even on the weekends. So setting those boundaries for you not to do that and to just detach from work for a little bit so you could have some you time. Okay, and learning how to feel your emotions. So learning how, when you're feeling overwhelmed, and what you could do, whether it's reaching out to a colleague, reaching out to your principal, reaching out to your team to see how you could be supported in whatever you're feeling overwhelmed over. Some self-care tips for you all is taking breaks throughout the day. I know as teachers and educators, it is so hard to take breaks, but if you just have 5 minutes aside, whether it's to take some deep breaths, whether it's to walk a little bit and get some fresh air, whether it's to stretch, however that looks like for you. And self-care looks so different for everybody, so that's another thing. So what might work for one of your colleagues might not work for you. Maybe you and your colleague could take walks together with your mask on, being safe. Other self-care tips could be, taking a walk, going for a run, maybe baking something that you really like, maybe just sitting outside, maybe gardening. It just looks so different for everybody. Going on a bike ride, anything that makes you feel full and it makes you feel like you are, at peace for a little bit, and you're not thinking about work or the million to-do things you have to do, or thinking about your to-do list, or thinking about what you need to add to your to-do list. It's your you time, but it looks different for everybody, so you might have to try different things. And lastly, it is so important that you acknowledge moments of gratitude. So it's important that you look, and just when you're having a moment of joy, it could that could be really hard during this difficult time, but just like the little achievements, like celebrate those for yourself. Whether all your 24 students or 30 students logged into Schoology that day, or whether like, you know, nobody got kicked out of you guys don't use Zoom, sorry, you guys got kicked out of Teams. So celebrating those little victories is so important, and just knowing that we're all going through this together and don't feel alone. So with that being said, we are providing as BCM clinicians newsletters and of different topics every single month. So look out for our newsletters. They should be on Schoology, just addressing maybe anxiety or stress around COVID. Another thing is that if any of your students are struggling, and if that's adding additional stress to you, like if they're struggling with maybe emotionally, or you just don't know, you feel like they need additional help, please reach out to your admin. Most of you have student assistance specialists at your schools that could support those students. Some of you might have a BCM clinician, and that could support you. Or some of you, if the students have Medi-Cal, they could be referred to Center for Human Services for additional help. So all you need to do is reach out to your admin, or if you have a BCM clinician at your school, reach out to us and we will be able to help and provide those resources for you all, okay? And if we don't have an answer, we will look for what we can do in order to provide the answer for you, okay? But just know that you're not alone, and we're in this together, and you guys are all doing such a great job, and thank you for everything you do for all the students. Thank you all for listening today. We will see you all at the next mental health tip video. Please take care of yourselves. Bye.